Hey guys, it's Kim. In today's video I'm going to be doing a book review over a short story by Mike Mother that's called House Trap. And the reason I call it a short story as opposed to a novel is because it's 67 pages long, so to me that's a short story. But anyway, Mike Mother actually sent me a copy of this book that he wrote for me to read and review. Anyway, House Trap is about a 16-year-old girl named Rachel whose only goal at the moment is to get into Dartmouth College. So she's really ambitious in her schoolwork, and that's really like all she focuses on. And somehow she is roped into tutoring a girl named Alicia. This girl, she has like no respect for her because she's not very studious. She hangs out with like the cool kid crowd, and she's very popular, and she just doesn't care about the kind of stuff that Rachel cares about. And so she's not very happy about this, but she's roped into tutoring her, and so she starts tutoring her. Her father's this inventor who invented something that's called House Trap. And this invention is basically, in the case of an intruder or a break-in or something, what this is supposed to do, this invention is supposed to trap them into the house. So you can't get out through the windows, you just can't get out of the house unless the house trap is deactivated. And so she is basically trapped into this house, and she's fighting for her life. Which is not something she expected to be doing, but that's basically what our story is about. So I read this book and I didn't know what to expect because he compared it to R.L. Stine and like Christopher Pike and somebody else that I have no idea who she is. So obviously I know who R.L. Stine is, but I've never read anything by him. And I read like one book from this other guy, and it was a long time ago and I can't really remember it enough to compare it. It was a really weird book though. I will say that. But anyway, so I went into this book and I didn't know like really what to expect, because I don't read these kinds of books. I don't read like thriller-like books. I read like romantic, banter-filled, heavy on the romance books. That's what I read. Drama-filled romance books. Yes, they're action-packed, but they're very heavy on that, which this book, there is none of that in there. It's very thriller-like, there's just no room for that, so it's better off the way it is. Anyway, I read it, I didn't know what to expect, and I started it, and I kind of had a little trouble getting into it just because of the way that it's written. So it's written in third person, which I don't read a lot of books that are written in third person. I read a lot of first person told books. So that really threw me off, but once I like got into it and like got over that fact, the book is not written badly. He does a good job telling the story. It's just a little, like I said, it's a little weird because in third person I feel like you're a little disconnected from the characters. You can't really connect with the characters as much or as easily. But I guess in books like this, you wouldn't want to. I don't know, like if characters are gonna die, like, and I'm not saying anyone dies, guys, but it's a lot easier to kill off a character if I guess people don't feel for them. I don't know. So anyway, there was that. Another thing that bothered me is because he is an indie author, obviously he doesn't have like all the support that established authors have. So there were a couple errors that I caught. There's not a lot of them. Maybe like 2 or 3 times I caught a couple, and it was just like the book would change like really briefly from past tense to present tense, and it would kind of irritate me. That's just one of my big things. Just because I personally write a lot, and my sister kind of does too, and so we'll switch off. She does it a lot, and so that's just something that I notice because I always correct her on it. So that's just my thing. And I do it too, so it's not a big deal. Like that can be corrected easily, so whatever. The author did a really good job with the storyline and everything. It was fun to see how the prologue-like entrance connected at the end. I was wondering how it was gonna connect, and it does connect eventually, and I saw it coming a little before it happened, maybe like 10 pages before it happened. I was like, oh, you know what? This is probably how it's gonna connect. And it did connect that way, and that was how the book went a lot, I feel like. I was able to see a lot of the things that were gonna happen, which didn't make them any less like, whoa, plot twist, but I still saw them coming. I feel like someone a little bit younger wouldn't. For sure, like my younger sister would probably really like this book and give it like 4.5 stars, probably out of 5 stars, just because she's a lot younger. So this would be like a real action-packed, like suspense, edge of your seat kind of book. For me personally, it was a lot of fun. I liked reading it. The concept of it was interesting. I've never read another book like it. It really reminded me of just The suspense part, and then like with the main character and what he makes her go through, it really reminded me of a movie called When a Stranger Calls. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that movie, but it's about a girl who goes to babysit these two kids like out in the middle of nowhere, and then like somebody starts calling her, and he's like this psychotic serial killer type, and so it's kind of like a fight for your life kind of deal. So it kind of reminded me of that. And it also reminded me, it's like a mix of that movie with a movie called The Glass House, and this other movie is about these two kids that their parents die obviously, so now they're orphans, and they go to live with some close family friends of their parents, and then like they're psychotic and they're not really taking care of them out of the goodness of their heart. Anyway, they have them basically trapped in the house. Spoiler, sorry. But it's sort of like a mix of those two movies, and I'm not going to tell you why or how or whatever, but it just really reminded me of those two movies while I was reading this book, which I thought was neat because I don't read a lot of books like this, so it was something new for me. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. I wish it had been written in first person and present tense too. I feel like for books like this, when they're written in the present tense, it's more effective because like you're on the edge of your seat because it's happening in the moment and you just feel it more. And then if it's in first person, like you feel connected to the character. You're more on the edge of your seat because you're like, oh my god, what's gonna happen to this character, and blah 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 blah, you know? One of the things he did is he bounced a lot from multiple characters' points of view, so you got to see the story from different characters, and I liked that. It was just very random, like how it would bounce, and then it wouldn't really let you know when it was bouncing from character to character, so sometimes I was a little bit like, wait, what? But it was interesting to see different characters' points of view. You get more out of it, so yay for that. It was a fun read. I gave it 3.5 stars out of 5 stars on Goodreads because I had fun with it, but I feel like if it had been just longer, there would have been more room for development. I mean, a lot of stuff happened throughout the book, but I mean, when you just have a longer book, you have more room to work with. But first, I mean, 3.5 stars isn't bad. It was a good book. I enjoyed it. If you have like maybe like an hour, hour and a half, you want to read something kind of thriller-like, then I totally recommend it. Especially if you like the 2 movies that I compared it to, or one of them if you haven't seen both of them. You could knock this book out. It's not, like I said, it's not very long. It's fun. I'll probably let my younger sister read it because like I said, I think she would like it more than I would, just because I don't think she would see like the plot twist coming and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm 22, like when you're older, it's easier to see these things, but for someone younger, it wouldn't be. So I think she'd have a lot more fun with it. Alright, that's it. That's all I have for you today. That was my review for House Trap by Mike Mothler. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.